Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now guys, we have a saying in Yoruba land which goes ọmọ tó bá sọ pé ìyá òun kò ní sùn òun náà kò ní fi ojú kan oorun. So ọmọ tó bá sọ pé ìyá òun kò ní sùn òun náà kò ní fi ojú kan oorun. What does that mean? Well, it literally means the child that is preventing the mother from getting any sleep is unlikely to him or herself get any sleep. So the child that is preventing the mother from getting any sleep is unlikely to get any sleep him or herself. So now guys, I bring you this. Appeal court reserves judgment in suit challenging Buhari's academic qualifications. So that's the headline. Appeal court reserves judgment in suit challenging Buhari's academic qualifications. So that is the headline. So now to the body of the story. The Court of Appeal in Abuja on Monday reserved judgment in the appeal filed against President Muhammadu Buhari's academic qualification for the 2019 presidential election. A three-member panel of the court, led by Akinuke Akomalafe Wilson, after taking arguments from parties in the respective appeals, said they will be informed when the judgments are ready. During the court session on Monday, the counsel representing the appellant, Ukpai Ukwaro, insisted Mr. Buhari was not educationally qualified to have stood for the presidential poll. He said the required certificates were not attached to his form CF001 submitted to the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC for clearance to contest for the election. Mr. Akwaro opposed the claim that the suit of the appellant was statute barred. He added that the case was instituted on November 5, 2018 within the 14 days allowed by law. He said the course of action started with the announcement and publication by INEC of successful candidates for the 2019 general election on October 25, 2018. Mr. Okwaro therefore urged the court to allow the appeal and set aside the decision of the Federal High Court on the grounds of miscarriage of justice. He asked the court to nullify Mr. Buhari's participation in the February 23rd presidential election because he was not educationally qualified for the poll at the time he did. Counter appeal. However, lawyers for the first and second respondents urged the court to dismiss the appeal for being incompetent and lacking merit. Mr. Buhari's counsel, Abdullahi Abubakar, told the court that the case of the appellant was statute barred, having not been filed within the mandatory period stipulated by law. Mr. Abubakar urged the court to uphold the decision of the Federal High Court to the effect that the suit was not filed in line with the position of the law. Arguing in the same vein, the counsel to the All Progressive Congress APC, Babatunde Ogala, urged the court to dismiss the appeal. The counsel to INEC, Mr. Anthony, said the commission is neutral and would abide by the decision of the court. So that's the first instance that INEC will be neutral, but let's carry on. Backstory. The plaintiff, Kalu Labaran Ismail and Hasi El Kuris, had approached the appellate court to nullify and set aside the judgment of the Federal High Court in Abuja, which declined to hear a suit they had instituted to challenge the educational qualification of Mr. Buhari before the conduct of the 2019 general election. The appellants were asking the court to reverse the judgment of Justice Ahmed Mohammed, and it has to be an Ahmed Mohammed, of course, that will judge in favor of Buhari. So The appellants are asking the court to reverse the judgment of Justice Ahmed Mohammed because the processes filed by Mr. Buhari and used to strike out their suit were not competent. The appellants faulted the judgment of the lower court, which ruled that the suit was status barred. They also claimed that the Federal High Court erred in law and its decision because they did not challenge the primary election that produced Mr. Buhari as the candidate of APC. They therefore urged the appeal court to assume jurisdiction over the suit and grant all the reliefs sought at the Federal High Court, but which were refused. Amongst the relief sought were the declaration that Mr. Buhari submitted false information regarding his qualification and certificate to INEC for the purpose of contesting election into the office of the President of Nigeria, and that he should thus be disqualified. They also prayed for an order of the court directing INEC to remove Mr. Buhari's name as a candidate of the APC, and another order restraining Mr. Buhari from parading himself as a candidate in the 2019 presidential election, and also APC from recognizing Mr. Buhari as a candidate. The Federal High Court had on May 2 declined to grant the request of the appellants because the suit was not filed within the time allowed by law, and therefore sustained preliminary objection raised by Mr. Buhari at the hearing. But not satisfied, the appellants are now asking the Court of Appeal to grant their reliefs. They said they are not challenging the primary election of APC as held by the lower court, but the qualification of Mr. Buhari to stand for the presidential election without demonstrating his educational certificates as required by law. So as I started off with this video with the Yoruba adage that ọmọ tó bá sọ pé ìyá òun ò ní sùn òun náà kò ní fojú korun. So that is the thing with this Malam Buhari, the jihadist and the Fulani agenda and the Islamization agenda and the imposing of their perception of superiority, even though he doesn't even have the qualification to be in the position that he has been appointed to by Mahmoud Yakubu. So now he will not know peace because this case now has gone to the appeal court. And listen, you have to go through the details of what's being said here. So these guys, they went initially to a high court to say, look, this guy is not qualified for this post, so therefore he should not even be a candidate. And then the appeal court were saying that they were statute barred. So now being statute barred is that there's a time limit within which you can file a case, and if you don't file that case within that time limit, they are statute barred. So the high court there were saying that they were statute barred because they were predicating that upon the notion that these people were filing against Buhari's candidacy for the presidential election or that presidential thing. But these guys have now gone to the appeal court and said to say no, we're not filing against that. What we are filing against is the mere thing, the statutory requirement, the legal requirement of a minimum bar within which somebody must reach before they can attain this post. And this guy has not demonstrated and he has not provided the sort of certification that the law requires for you to then be put forward as a candidate. So because he has not now done this, he is not in effect a candidate because he has not met the legal requirements. So this is now their argument now which they have taken to the appeal court, and the appeal court have now now seen that argument and they agree with that argument, but then for them to then take a judgment rather on that argument is a different thing. Because if they take a judgment on that argument, they would have to agree, because Malam Buhari since 2015 has not been able to demonstrate that he has met the minimum educational qualification bar that has been set for the Nigerian presidency. This is Mr. Integrity, by the way, that we're talking about now. So if they are now able to establish, and it is established and is a known fact, that this guy does not meet the minimum requirement of law, by law, because we saw some incident that some guy from JAM office or from WAEC or something going to present him some plaque in some sort of like ridiculous photo opportunity charade, so all of that nonsense. So now that's been tested by law and in law, and the appeal court is now in the position where they are seeing the evidence that this guy is not qualified, but they know the political ramifications of them saying that he's not qualified. Because if they say that he is not qualified, then this guy automatically ceases to be the president of Nigeria. The moment they make that judgment, Buhari ceases to be the president of Nigeria, because if he's not qualified to be a candidate, then his name is automatically removed from the election that ran. Even the election that ran in 2015, really, his name is removed from that. And if his name is removed from the election and he's not running to be the president, then he cannot be the president. So now this is where the conversation is really, but are they brave enough to make that decision is the thing. Of course, if they make that decision, it will be appealed and taken to the Supreme Court, and we all know that the Supreme Court, they are all bought and paid for. But then let them make that decision based on the evidence, because this case will go to the Supreme Court anyway. If they make the decision to say that this guy is not qualified to be the president, and they should make that decision now to rescue that country, because we can see the dark clouds in the firmament of that country, and we all see where this guy is heading with his Fulanization and his Islamization agenda, and the Abakwaris and all the Fulani cabal. So we all see. So if they can be brave enough to make that decision to rescue the country, then they can halt him at least at this point, and maybe he can be in abeyance, and then we'll have the Senate president come and take his seat until he goes and challenges whatever it is that's been decided in the Supreme Court. So, but are they able to make that decision is the thing. But then you will remember that I started this video with the Yoruba adage that Omotoba Sokwe Ya Wonisun, Ouno Koni Foju Sorun. Meanwhile, Atiku is at the panel fighting this guy tooth and nail. So it's war on all fronts against. So Operation Rescue Nigeria is at the people, for whatever interest that they're serving. I think these people, they just want to shine. These people that are taking this law case, they just want to shine. But Atiku, he has his own selfish interest. But whatever the interests are, and whatever the reasoning or the reasons are, anything and everything that can be done to rescue our country from the hands of this marauding AK-47 carrying Neanderthal-like primordial primitive elements that are going to subsume us. They want to establish Ruga in Oyo Alafin. We already have an Alafin in Oyo. We don't need a Ruga. So if you want to go and Ruga in Daura. Go and Ruga in Daura, because in Oyo Alafin, we don't even eat Enromalu anyway. We eat goat and chicken. This is what we eat in our own yard. So if you want to Ruga, go and Ruga in Daura. Go and Ruga in Daura, in Katsina and in Sokoto. Go and do. Sambisa forest is as big as the country of Wales. So go and put your people in the Sambisa forest. Tell them to go and defeat the Boko Haram there and have their few. They'll just put security to keep them in there, because these are wild people and they don't really belong amongst any sort of form of civilized being. So just keep them contained in the forest and let them have their few. But this idea now, but they fight back anyway. Let me not go too far. The fight back is on. The fight back is on multiple fronts. So they are challenging his certificate, which he doesn't have. They are challenging the legitimacy of his presidency, which we know is illegitimate as an appointee of Mahmoud Yakubu. So Operation Rescue Nigeria is afoot. Conversations in the comment section is what I am inviting. What are your thoughts? Am I reading this completely wrong? Am I completely off-piste in my assessment? Come tell me then what your assessments are in the comment section. But before you come tell me what your assessments are in the comment section, click on the red subscribe button so it turns gray, bell button, that way you are notified every time I drop a new video. Then come tell me what your thoughts are in the comment section. But I'll leave you here, meet you in the comment section, but here I say peace.